Okay, welcome to another broadcast of Brozan. I'm Jay Warren.
And I'm Zach Zichter. What is Brozan, by the way?
Brozan is a podcast where we talk about the show Roseanne,
We do?
episode for episode.
Ooh.
I have seen this series through its entirety many times. Zach, how many times have you seen it?
I've seen a fair amount of episodes, but never in a row and never on purpose. No, I suppose some were on purpose, but mostly because I was a kid, watching TV. Didn't have the cable, so
Yeah.
you gotta watch the TV.
Want to watch some ABC?
Better than watch the paint dry or watching the wallpaper peel.
And how are you enjoying your first run through of Roseanne so far?
As I've mentioned before, it's pretty good.
Okay. A little bit of Larry David you pulled right there, right?
I did, I suppose, as we're talking about sitcoms, the HBO?
Yeah, that's HBO, yep.
HBO, Larry David, what's it called?
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Curb Your Enthusiasm. Larry David, the guy who wrote Seinfeld, or created it, and or
I
co-created?
think it's the co-creator.
Sure.
What do you prefer, Seinfeld or Curb?
I've seen a lot more Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Tons more Seinfeld. Although my wife and I had Amazon Prime for maybe like a month, 1 month, and we were watching some Curb and enjoying the first season.
Yep.
But I don't. It was back when it was 4x3. I suppose it was 4x3 all the way through.
I think they're still making new seasons.
I heard they just started. They were just going to make a new season.
Yep.
Yeah. No, we enjoyed it, so I would keep watching it if I had Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
I'm saying if I had Amazon Prime, my birthday's coming up, maybe you could give me Amazon Prime.
You want a year subscription to Amazon Prime?
That would be great if you wanted to do that.
I don't.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess you're just a fair weather friend.
I might be able to buy you a season, or you know what I could do for your birthday? Loan you season 4.
But I haven't seen the rest of season 1, 2, or 3.
I'm telling you what I can do.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like it's going to cut it.
I just don't see any Amazon Prime in your future.
Huh. All right. Well, don't choke on your ambition. That's a reference.
2.
You don't know yet.
I don't know a reference. You just made a reference to something that I don't know.
Right, but you will. You will know.
Is that a Rogue One reference?
It is.
Yeah, and you
Just ruin the movie for everybody.
I haven't seen it yet, but
You want me to ruin it for you?
you can
You want to know how it ends?
you should ruin it. How does it end?
Credits come up.
Did you liked it? You said you liked it more than any other one. You said it was your favorite.
I didn't say I liked it more than any other one. I said that I really liked it a lot, and it was up there. Definitely up there with the originals. A lot of people. It seems what online. I've listened to a few reviews after I watched it just to see what put my finger on the pulse of the zeitgeist of the internetosphere. The opiniosphere. That's a new word I came up with.
Opinion sphere.
No, opiniosphere.
Opiniosphere.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are divided between whether or not they like Rogue One or...
Hate Rogue One.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that do hate Rogue One, but the majority, 90% according to Rotten Tomatoes and other aggregators, like Rogue One or love it.
Mm-hmm.
But many are trying to decide whether they like it better than The Force Awakens. And this is what I'm about to say is not, there's no spoilers. It's just saying that Rogue One is darker and has better action and is a little more original.
There's no Jedi.
Well, no. I mean, well.
There's a Sith.
There's a Sith.
But there's no Jedi. They're all in hiding at this point, aren't they?
Yeah. But there is one person who is Force sensitive.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. But the difference is that, so Rogue One has got a lot more action and it's more original. But it still has references to the original trilogy, so there's a lot of little Easter eggs. So if you are a Star Wars fan, you can appreciate it. Whereas The Force Awakens, it's new. The newer characters are a little bit more memorable. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it. I think if I just watched Rogue One more time, I would probably feel the same way about those characters. But other people feel the character development in Rogue One was lacking.
lacking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I disagree, but whatever. Yeah. So some people think The Force Awakens is much better. Some people think the Rogue One is much better, and some people think they both suck. And other people think that the real gem in the Star Wars universe is A Phantom Menace.
Do you know anybody that thinks that's the... You know somebody who thinks that's the gem, right?
Yeah, I had an argument with one of my best friends. I'm just gonna call him Redrick Rainey, and he was saying that it was all nostalgia. I was glorifying the originals in comparison to the prequels. That the prequels are still good movies. It's the only reason I don't like them is because they're newer and I'm older while I'm watching them, which I disagree with. I disagree with wholeheartedly, and the coming out of Episode 7 and Rogue One, I think, proves that.
Episode 1, I would say Episode 2 is more unbearable than Episode 1.
They're all bad. Revenge of the Sith is the one that's maybe the most bearable, but even so, there's some quote-unquote love scenes. Like, so painful.
Is it Episode 2 where he's talking about the sand?
Yeah.
And we're just like, I hate sand. Just like
so coarse.
Just like, what in the... Even as a high schooler, I was like, this is some bad writing right here.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's in A Phantom Menace, the first one, where one of the guards, or I don't know, he wears a weird brown suit. Yeah, I liked his costume. The costumes were great. Mm-hmm. But there was a sandstorm when they were on Tatooine meeting young Anakin Skywalker for the first time. And the sandstorm's coming up, and he's out there, and he just says, "Looks pretty bad." Like,
no shit.
Oh yeah, that's something that we could probably handle with visuals.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that Episode 3 is actually my second favorite movie out of the entire. Well, maybe third now that Force Awakens is out, but. Out of the ones I've seen, I can tell you for sure Empire and then Revenge of the Sith. And our friend Rob from Wyoming, when I told him that, he did not like it. And we were at a party at your old place, Bluegill Avenue. And he randomly walked up to me and a friend I'll call Toady Brown. And he's like, you'll never believe what this guy told me today. He told me that he prefers Revenge of the Sith over Return of the Jedi, and then walks away. And Cody just we were like in an hour-long argument.
Well, I will say that's really stupid. You were a complete idiot, and we should not podcast anymore. No, to your point, I think that Return of the Jedi, there is a case to be made that it has weak points, and one of those weak points is the Ewoks. 100%, I agree with you. As a kid, it didn't bother me, and growing up in the nostalgia, there's enough nostalgia where it doesn't bother me now. However, I can see where that would be very disturbing, and Endor just like, this takes me out of it. Like, we're looking, these are teddy bears. Do we really need to have teddy bears in the Star Wars universe? I get it. I get that complaint, but A New Hope even. You think Revenge of the Sith is better than A New Hope?
Yeah, I do.
I think A New Hope...
I think they're about tied, but I think despite all its flaws, Revenge of the Sith is really good.
Revenge of the Sith...
There is that one scene where Darth Vader's like, no! Which is really dumb. Really lame.
But they added that into Return of the Jedi, so that makes almost Return of the Jedi, on par.
Almost.
In your eyes.
Like I said, I didn't grow up watching those movies. Like, those weren't like heavy rotation in our house.
Sure.
I saw Spaceballs way before I saw
Spaceballs.
Watch out! Way before I saw Star Wars. So by the time I even saw Star Wars, I was like, oh wow, someone did a serious take on Spaceballs. That's pretty cute. I had no idea any of that stuff existed until I was like about third grade.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that Revenge of the Sith has very good action sequences. I will agree with that. There are a few love scenes that just kill that movie for me. And maybe if I was, an adult when I saw Return of the Jedi, which was going to be Revenge of the Jedi, but Jedis don't get revenge.
That bugs you, huh?
No, I don't care.
Anakin, you're breaking my heart.
Exactly.
Like I said, some of it is.
Only Sith thinking absolute.
I
You will not take her from me.
think that movie was actually a critique on the Bush administration.
Yeah, I've heard people say that. You're like, only a Sith thinks in absolute.
Yeah, because that's what Bush kept on saying. You're either with us or against us.
Mm-hmm.
Which really is like some cartoony shit.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if you've heard. People are saying that there were new scenes in Rogue One that were a critique on the incoming Trump administration.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't see that, but it's interesting just to parallel, the Star Wars universe, making, or alluding to real life.
I wonder how Lucas feels that, like, he made 3 movies that people love, then made 3 movies hate, and now someone else has taken his stuff and
making it better.
Yeah, making it better, and how he feels not to be included. In all fairness, he doesn't really listen to the fans. Like,
no.
He, all anybody wants is just like the original cut of those 3 movies, and he refuses to stop fucking with them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that is.
Disney is releasing those. I think they may have already released them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you can get them. Where Han shot first.
Mm-hmm. I will say this. I do like the new cut of A New Hope because it has Jabba in it. And any more Jabba...
Yeah, but it's done so poorly. And at the time, he steps on his tail. Han steps on his tail because he didn't know. At that time of the shooting, they thought, it'll be a human.
Mm-hmm.
Or a humanoid.
Yeah. I think I would watch a movie that was just all about Jabba. I don't know why the Christmas special didn't have just a Jabba Hutt Christmas.
I don't want to alarm you, but Jabba the Hutt was in Return of the Jedi, and you don't like that movie, but you're just talking about how much you love Jabba the Hutt.
I do love Jabba the Hutt.
I think what it ultimately comes down to is that Star Wars, whether it be the prequels or the old ones, there's just amazing set pieces. Mm-hmm. And then you can really love a movie or love set pieces in a Star Wars movie, even if the overall movie isn't great. There's still just great scenes.
Yeah. Well, George Lucas had some really smug quote about not using sets where it was something along the lines of, like, when he was making the new ones, he's like, I don't need sets, I have green screens. And you're just like... douche. Like,
well, that's probably a contributing factor to the fact that none of the actors, the lines were also a contributing factor to them sounding very dull. But the fact that they weren't interacting with anything is also a problem. But we're already 13 minutes in, and we haven't even talked about Roseanne.
And I know Scott Wells is getting anxious. He's like, start talking about Roseanne.
We're gonna have to bleep that. His name is Scott Chells. Right. Okay.
We had talked about him on a previous episode, and he sent me a message yesterday that's like, "You stop smoking."
Did he really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
He sent me a message and said that, man, I just wish Jay would learn what your name is. Keep saying your name wrong.
Did he really say that?
He did. He called you a jerk, and I agreed. So let's okay. So this episode of Roseanne, as we're getting into it a little late, season 1, episode 10 is entitled
Saturday.
Saturday.
SATURDAY night.
Woo! So essentially, give us a little lowdown. What is this episode about?
Well, I really think this episode just a glimpse into the life on a typical Saturday of the lower middle class Midwest family.
Okay.
What do you think this episode's about?
I don't know. There's lots of things. Dwight comes over.
Dwight. This is like the first time you really get to know Dwight too.
Yeah, and the setup is that there's a truck. Jane has a truck and it's not running, and Dwight's gonna come over and they're gonna fix the truck, and Freddie's gonna come over. They're gonna fix the truck, and I have a little clip here.
We could probably press play on the episode too.
Oh yeah. We'll do that. But as this starts, just to give people an idea of what's coming, this episode is a lot about Dwight and who he is. He has a lot to say about people.
He really is a POS. Like he's a hard guy to like.
So just the fact that Dwight is coming over, this is what Roseanne had to say.
Is Dwight coming over here?
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Nothing. Just every time you're with him, your IQ drops 10 points.
Hey, he's bringing his tools over. He's going to help me tune up the truck.
Oh, you're not going to get that truck tuned up. Oh, you guys are just going to be out there in the driveway drinking beer and spitting and talking about who's got the biggest hood ornament.
Is that a reference to the penal region?
It could be. So the thing that I've thought about when I was watching this episode, I watched this actually last night before for prep today.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine, as well as we know Dan so far, that he would hang out with a guy like Dwight.
Yeah, it does seem kind of weird.
Because I would not allow a person, like I would not seek out hanging out with a person like Dwight.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would be able to tolerate him at the bar or something like that, but that's not a person I would want to be around.
Okay.
Especially when he starts talking about stuff like how if he was in charge, he'd take away all women's licenses, and you're just like, what in the hell? and you wonder why you're single. Like,
Mm-hmm. I have a clip of that in a second, but before we get to that, there's a little bet that there's a lot of nuances to this episode. Mm-hmm. Dan and Roseanne have a little bet on whether or not Dan is going to get the truck fixed by 4 p.m. And here's a clip of that.
By 4 o'clock this afternoon, that truck will have new points and plugs, and we'll be running like a race car.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Would you care to make a small wager?
Oh, name it.
Okay, if that truck ain't working by 4 o'clock, then you got to clean this oven today and every month for the rest of your life.
Fine. But if I win, which I will, you got to do all the snow shoveling this winter and every winter for the rest of your life.
All right, you're on, Buckaroo.
Buckaroo, that's awesome. Do you ever have any bets like this with roommates or friends?
Sure. There was one time we were playing. We were actually at a Christmas work party, and I was managing a coffee house at that point, and one of the girls that worked was one of my subordinates, one of my underlings.
Subordinates.
We were playing dice, and we had like 3 dice in this cup, and I'm like, if I get 3 of a kind, you have to do so and so. And I'm like, if I get 3 of a kind, you have to put like really long fingernail extensions on your toenails. And I got it, and she's like, she was so mad at me, and then like really mad at me, like legit mad.
Uh-huh.
And so the next day I'm like, why did you get so mad about that? Because she's like, because I was afraid you were gonna make me actually do it. And I'm like, how would I enforce that? Like, how would I physically make you do that?
Yeah.
How about you? Did you ever have any? You seem like a guy that likes to bet, like a young Zeke.
You think that?
Young Zeke seems like he'd be a gambler.
I don't know. I don't think so. My only bets were just, if I tell a lie to my dad, will he know, or will I get in trouble?
Can he tell just by looking at you?
I think whenever I opened my mouth, he assumed I was lying. And I lied a lot as a kid, mainly because, if you didn't get your chores done on time, or you accidentally shot out 2 different windows with a BB gun that, he bought for me. Why would,
Why would you shoot out 2 windows? Like, what were the windows to?
One was to a Citation, and one was to an old Combine.
And you just thought, hey, I want to shoot that out. I'm tired of those windows.
Just shooting stuff, shooting my guns.
How old were you?
Oh, I don't know. I suppose I got a BB gun, maybe 10. That's just guessed.
Oh, yeah. I used to ask for a BB gun for Christmas, and I don't think my mom later told me that we had a neighbor kid who shot our dog with a BB gun. We couldn't prove it, but they were like, we were afraid that you were going to shoot him with a BB gun
because you were a sociopath.
Yeah, I'm just, hey man, you mess with Snoopy, you mess with Jay, and that's just it.
Yeah,
we were the rock and sock connection of Fairway Drive.
So I guess I wouldn't say that I did a lot of bets.
You didn't do a lot of bets.
Mm-mm. There's another bet in this episode that we'll get to in a second, but before we get there, you wanted to hear a little bit about what Dwight. So Dwight's outside helping. Well, actually, right now while we're watching, he's carrying like 12 or 13 different beers.
He has 2 6-packs and then just a straight beer on
yeah,
top.
he's like, "Does Freddie want one?" Like Freddie gets one and he gets 6 and Dan gets 6.
I'm like,
It's ridiculous.
you guys are just tying one on. Is it like let's not. I have no problem with them drinking till the day, but let's not pretend that they're actually doing work out there.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that's the whole point that Roseanne has.
Yeah.
But
well, did you also? And I don't know what this is, but I don't know if you just noticed. Dwight has something on the back of his vest. Like it's like a.
yeah,
I'm like, did Wardrobe forget to take off a tag or something?
I
Or-
wondered that too. At first, I'm like, did someone put a "kick me" sign on him? But it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
I bet it is Wardrobe. I bet you're right.
Yeah. And like, and how? And this is the reference to Korn. She just calls herself.
Yeah.
So
Do I have that clip? Ooh, maybe I don't. Yeah.
okay. Well, so here's a little interesting trivia. There's Dwight, Dan, and Freddie. Freddie is the bald man. Do you want to know who that is? That is Roseanne's real husband at the time.
The bald guy?
Mm-hmm.
No, well, I thought she said Dwight was.
No, the bald man is Roseanne's real husband, like not just in the show.
Oh, I know. But I thought like before this episode, we saw a clip of Roseanne saying,
Oh, okay.
Talking about Dwight and how she married him. But maybe I'm misunderstanding.
I think so because I think his name is Bill Pentland or something
Okay.
like that, and that's her real husband.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see.
and just like she says at one point there's appearance by all her real husbands in the show at one point because Tom Arnold makes
Yep.
he has like a reoccurring character on the show.
Yep,
at one
yep.
point.
I remember that. That's for sure.
That fascinates me that guy was ever famous.
Tom Arnold?
Yeah,
Why?
he's just I don't know. He's not really funny.
Well, jeez.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. Are you a Tom Arnold fan?
Well, he's my brother.
Tom Arnold is your brother.
Yep.
I know all your siblings. And
Oh.
I'm gonna say that I would 100% say he's not really your sibling.
Well, I have a brother who knows him.
You have a brother that knows Tom Arnold,
Yep, and he's really offended right now.
who's give me a moniker for this brother that's friends with.
His name is Jameson. So let's move on. We're outside. We're which on a set we haven't seen this season. Maybe we have from a different angle. I don't know. But there's a fence. They're working on the car, and Dwight and Dan are having a few beers on a break. They're ribbing Roseanne.
Mm-hmm.
And
And she has that awesome response. The human female mind can't handle the combustion engine. And she does that thing with her eyes.
yeah, and I might have a clip of that. Let's take a listen.
Tell you what I'd do with you women. I'd take all your little licenses away and I'd put you girls on public transportation where you belong.
I'm amazed you're not the governor.
He's just over the top. I mean,
Oh yeah, well, and like Roseanne's also just like this guy is an idiot. Like,
and I don't think Dan really realizes how much of an idiot he is.
mm-hmm.
So there's another layer which we haven't talked about. So we're setting up Dwight as being a sexist butthole, essentially, and but there's another bet, and that is he's interested in Jackie.
yes,
He's very interested in Jackie, and Roseanne's like, no. Why would anybody?
rightfully so.
Yeah. So in a little bit, we'll cut to the kitchen, and we'll see Jackie come in because I believe Jackie and who's the gal from the plastics place, Crystal.
Crystal, yep.
We're out on like a shopping date or whatever, and so went shopping for stuff, and yeah, here they come now.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Dwight, like, on top of just being sexist, he's just a damn idiot. Like, that part where you're like, oh, my money clip fell out.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
That's how he brags.
yeah. What would you do if one of your sisters brought home a guy like this?
I would I don't know. It'd be you know what, actually? Let's just pretend that maybe I did have a sister who brought home someone like that. Let's just pretend.
Okay.
I had some. No. Okay.
We're
moving on.
We're moving on? Okay.
So now we're inside. We're Crystal and Becky and I don't know, is Jackie are talking about the stuff they bought, and I don't know, Becky's trying to decide what kind of blush to wear and kind of doing girly things, which is fine. But I think Roseanne is kind of prepping Jackie for the fact that Dwight might be into her.
Well, I think Jackie knows too.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because she talks about how he followed her around the hardware store.
Mm-hmm. I think, and that is what brings me to that other bet I was talking about, and that is this.
I could show you a whole nother side of Dwight. I could go out there right now and show you a Dwight that behaves like a perfect gentleman.
All right.
I'll do it, too.
You know, Jackie, you really should try Earth sometime.
So she's going to go out there and try to make him seem... She's hoping that, you know, when he's around a woman, he'll be a little bit nice.
Mm-hmm. How does that work out for her?
Well, you mentioned earlier about him bragging.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the first thing that happened is he comments on their shopping.
Hey, Jackie.
Hi, Dwight.
So, how's your little shopping trip there, Jackie?
Oh, it was good. We hit every sale.
Yeah? I bet you like those malls, huh? Boy, the way you ladies buy shoes. Think y'all had 6 feet on every leg.
Now, in his defense, women do love shoes.
Well, yeah, a lot of people like shoes. I like shoes too, and that's maybe more of the, you know, playful. It's not really sexist. It's more just like, hey, you know, giving them a nudge, like you're doing what's typically, stereotypically female or feminine,
Right.
Which isn't a bad thing, but it gets worse.
Oh, it escalates fast.
And he, in addition to ribbing her a little bit, he starts bragging, which brings me to this clip.
You guys gonna get this tank up and rattling again?
Yeah. Pretty sorry piece of scrap iron, isn't it? You ever seen my car?
That lime green convertible?
Yeah. My monster. It's got a bored out 327 with dual quads. Can do 125 mphs.
No wonder your mom wears her hair straight back.
There is a reoccurring joke in this episode where they make fun of him living with his mom.
It's true.
Which
Yeah.
is pretty funny. Dan has that quote where they're just like, you know what I'd do if my woman ever talked to me like that? You say, yeah, get back in the house, Mom.
That's funny because he lives with his mom. That's funny.
It's a little funny.
I agree 100% that it's funny. But what gets the worst, and he's having conversations, because right now Freddie is his name, is that right? Freddie has to go home to his wife. And, you know, Dwight's giving him a little crap because, oh, you got to go home. You know, it's basically your, you know, ball and chain. And Dan's like, you know, he chuckles a little bit. He's like, you don't really get it.
Mm-hmm.
But then Jackie comes out. So these are the two worlds converging, where Jackie's coming out to kind of flirt. And while this is happening between Dwight and Jackie, we see Dan can't find the distributor cap, and he can't win his bet because it's like 10-4, and he can't find the distributor cap. So how's he gonna get it started?
I think he's gonna be doing some oven cleaning.
Yeah. Well, who cleans an oven every month? That's just ridiculous.
You don't clean your oven every month?
I don't have an oven.
You don't have an oven?
I just have a toaster oven.
A toaster oven. And you only clean. How often do you clean that?
My toaster, I just tip it upside down and shake it.
So it's a toaster, not a toaster oven.
Well, I mean, I put it on top.
I had a teacher in high school that always told this story about she had one of those self-cleaning ovens.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, once it starts cleaning itself, you can't stop it.
Really?
Yeah. Well, at least this model. And she started cleaning it, and she left she didn't mean to start cleaning it, and had a pizza in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that smelled good, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure it was a really good time for her. I wish I could remember who told me that story, but I can't remember their name at all.
So you good with cars?
No, not at all. I have changed my own distributor cap though. I have put in a distributor cap on my car.
I used to be friends with some people. When I say used to be friends, because who'd be friends with them now, right? No, some people living with them, and there was this thing around the turn of the century where people would put their thumb between your butt cheeks and like, oh, I gotta check your oil. I'm like, what? Who are these people?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think I ever experienced that.
No, I think you might have been one of those.
Oh, wait.
Have you never heard of someone checking someone's oil?
Not in that capacity, no. I don't think. That may have just been you and your friends.
Yeah, well, they're not my friends anymore.
Do I have some names?
Let's say,
Redrick.
no. Redrick Royd, Rashid Royd, so they were brothers, and Rockinga. So just some.
Have I ever met these people before?
No, never. Yeah. Okay, so you don't know anything about cars, is what you're saying.
I don't know anything about.
And you don't have any experience getting your oil checked.
I never got my oil checked.
I can check your oil.
No, God.
Just
shove a thumb up between my butt cheeks. That's
no. Check your dipstick.
what?
I would check your dipstick. Do you know what a dipstick is?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's how you check your oil.
And your friends just randomly run out to your car, check your dipstick.
No, they stuck their thumbs up my butt. I'm just saying I'm offering to... It wasn't all the way. It was fully clothed, too. We better edit this out.
No, that stays in.
So speaking of weird situations, this is maybe the most weirdest ask out. And Dwight is just such a sad person.
Well, and he had her, too, for a second. Like, if he would have kept his mouth shut, they probably would have gone on a date. But,
Maybe. But this is what he said. And this is abridged. I cut out some things, but just to give you the gist.
Hey, listen, Jackie, I've been thinking,
About what?
maybe you'd like me to come over to your place sometime. Give your engine a little tune-up.
A tune-up? No, my car's okay.
I'm talking about your engine. With a chassis like yours, it'd be a pleasure to pop your hood. What do you say?
With a chassis like yours, it would be a pleasure to pop your hood. I don't think that has ever worked as a pickup line.
I am surprised he didn't get slapped.
Yeah.
I don't think you could say that to a girl today and not get slapped.
Well, I don't. She actually lets him down pretty easy. She's just like, well, Dwight, I think you just ruined it. Yeah. But that's like, she didn't like yell at him. She just kind of said, that's not for me. Goodbye. Yeah.
If I had a friend that said that to a girl, I'd seriously be like, what the hell is your problem? Like,
well, it really goes back to like how when people say, oh, you shouldn't objectify women. He was literally objectifying her. Mm-hmm. You are a car. Yep.
A possession that I can do whatever I want to. Mm-hmm. And I think that's like, one of the underlying tones of this whole show is very much empowering females. Mm-hmm. So I think that's only the right way for her to respond, is just to be like, why don't you go piss off for a while? Like, yeah. Not a cool way to talk. Well, not a cool way to talk to a woman. Not a cool way to talk to anybody. Like,
no. I mean, if I came up to you and I was...
Can I check your oil?
Yeah. Or, well, I was gonna say if I compared you to a jackhammer, just if I invited you to come over and jack my cement, I mean that would be kind of weird, right?
Yes.
So we shouldn't do that.
No, we shouldn't do that.
Yeah, just wanted to give an example.
Thanks.
An analogous.
Analogous.
I mean, it was a bad last week.
It was a bad last week?
Right, when you rejected me when I said that.
Yeah, for one of us, it was bad.
Yeah. Well, you ruined it. So
I hate you so
yeah,
much.
I hate you too. So this episode it wraps up in such a way that he doesn't make it. He doesn't make the 4 p.m.
No.
He loses the bet.
Now, we'll have to pay attention if we were to see a scene with him cleaning the oven.
I wonder.
Yeah. If she makes him stick to the bet, or if they even acknowledge that the bet ever happened. Well, and it also ends with, like Dan's trying to make Jackie feel bad for ejecting Dwight, and then Dwight just picks up Crystal.
Yeah, and he does this gesture with his hand, which, like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
But I will say, we only see Dwight a couple more times.
Oh, really?
He's only in season 1. And, yeah, we don't see him very often.
So as the episode wraps up, we do get to see that the blue truck does end up starting, but not. And Roseanne comments that it's not until 10:30 at night.
Yeah.
But then
Nonetheless, he still made it work.
he did. Because he found the distributor cap.
And I think they're, like, talking about, at the end, they're, like, pretending they're at the drive-in.
Yep. What movie do you want to watch?
Yeah.
I didn't
she
recognize
always-
any of those movies.
She always says Dr. Zhivago, which I've never seen, but she referenced that movies a lot.
Yeah, I couldn't. I had no idea what she was talking about.
Guns of Navarone, which is the one that Dan wants to watch, is a Western, and I've seen
Okay.
that before. But
He seems like he would be into westerns.
well, and also they make a Guns of Navarone reference in Pulp Fiction
Interesting.
when they're cleaning the car, and he's like, "I'm the Guns of Navarone. I'm TNT. When I know I have to clean up little bitty pieces of brain."
Wow, that's a obscure reference, even for just being in Pulp Fiction. I don't remember that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I watched that movie a lot in the dorms.
I mean, I remember him complaining about having to clean up brains, but
In fact, why am I on brain detail? You're the guy that shot the motherfucker.
right. What was it gonna? Crap! I was just gonna say something. You vamp for a second. I'll figure it out.
Oh, so yeah, episode 10.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Just random stuff. Speaking of the corn, I thought they really, really stretched for this episode.
For that reference.
Yeah, that reference. She has a corn hanging from. It looked like field corn, possibly even like. Wait, could this be bad? Is the proper name for what kind of corn do they put on the Corn Palace?
Popcorn.
It's popcorn.
I don't know. I didn't.
thought- isn't
Yellow
there-
corn,
Isn't there? No, the other kind of corn that's like speckled and.
wild corn. Is that what it's called? I see what you're trying to do here. Very cute. He wants me to say Indian corn because I'm native or part native.
I didn't want to do it for that reason. I actually.
You wanted to see if I thought it was okay. Because if I thought it was okay, all natives think it's okay.
You know, it's one of those things when I grew up going to library session as a kid, and they'd say, "Okay, sit Indian style," and I didn't realize, until later that maybe it's just cross-legged. You don't have to say Indian style. I'm asking you, with an honest heart, what do you call that type of corn?
I've never heard it called anything else other than Indian corn. But I imagine that's not the proper term. I imagine there is another term for that corn.
Okay.
And I think you know what it is.
I honestly do not.
Could we Google it really quick? We don't have that technology.
We have the technology. We can build him. We can.
So we can make him stronger.
Right.
So while Zeke is doing this, I want everybody to think about what they would call Indian corn if they didn't call it Indian corn, and see if you can't beat me to it.
Flint
corn, a variety of maize.
or calico corn. Interesting.
Did you ever do like a Thanksgiving with friends? Just
What do you mean?
well, every now and then you get together with your friends and do a Thanksgiving before you go home. In college, you ever do something like that?
I didn't have friends.
Shocker.
Whoa. Shots fired.
Anyway, my go-to joke was, I brought some corn, or as my people call it, maize. It's a fun thing. White people love that.
Yeah, I think that's a reference to what show is that? Modern Family. They say that exact line. Yeah.
And they stole it from me because I did that before Modern Family was a thing.
I'm sure.
It's actually also used, not the same line, but I got it from a joke in Meet the Parents,
Yeah.
where Owen Wilson's talking to Ben Stiller, and he's like, I made an altar, or as you may call it, a hopa.
I have nipples, Greg. Can you milk me?
Oh, that happened in your cat milking days on Motown?
So what would you rate this? Okay, the reason I even brought up maize or what was it called? Flint corn?
Flint corn.
Flint corn or calico corn. The reason I brought that up is because that calico corn was hanging by their little pantry area. I'm like, why do you have calico corn hanging with the husk still on?
I want to say it's a decoration. I don't think it's real.
So is this about Thanksgiving time, or why else would you use that as decoration?
Well, Christmas typically falls on episode 11 or 12, so I guess it could be around Thanksgiving time, around this time.
Okay.
I mean,
It's not just a clever or unclever excuse to, put in a corn joke.
I really don't know. I mean, maybe some people, that's just a good decoration to them, is fake calico corn.
Fake calico corn. It's a new song I wrote.
Good job.
Yeah.
You still got it, bud.
Yeah. So we got some feedback from Josh Ronson from Rookings, South Dakota, and he said he found it our previous conversation about accordion and accordion sex interesting.
And that's the words he used for interesting?
I'm paraphrasing.
Can I have the unedited version of what he said?
I think he came into the room, in the same room I was in, and loudly announced, "So accordion sex, eh?" And that was that.
Yeah. I mean, you really do have a lot of explaining to do from some of the things that you say.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
Is that what I sound like?
No. Maybe. So, wait, what did you rate this?
This episode, this is a standard season 1 episode. About a 7.
About a 7? Okay.
How about you?
I will give it a 7, and definitely I give it a strong 7, mainly because it shines a spotlight on the attitudes of yesteryear.
Yeah, sure does. Does that.
When women were objects and objects were possessions. It's just weird that they would even have that in there, that the character would have to deal with that.
It
seems like something.
Maybe it's the 80s, so it wasn't as quite as progressive, but I can't imagine in my dating lifetime.
Yeah.
That would be okay way to talk to a woman.
I don't think, we I don't want to get political, but you've heard the term locker room talk. I don't even think that's locker room talk.
That's just him, like, why would he think that she would be impressed with that talk? Like, what? I do think that character, Dwight, probably does see women. It's not just a joke. He definitely thinks women are secondhand citizens.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And it can be the understandable position of a single man or woman, a single person, would be to maybe complain about the other sex because they clearly haven't figured them out enough to, find someone that is right for them. So maybe, a woman's frustrated that, guys only care about X, Y, Z, and they generalize. It's one thing to generalize. It's another thing to, like, go
dehumanize someone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It would be interesting if we had some feedback from somebody, maybe like Rob Wyoming,
Or
You could shed some light onto it. I think Rob from Wyoming might have some insight.
really?
Yeah.
On what way?
He's from Wyoming.
What about Leah from California?
Leah from California. If someone talked to her like this, I would straight up stick them. I would shank somebody.
I don't think that Leah from California would stand up for it, or she wouldn't stand for it.
Yeah. I don't think so either. Or I think she's classy enough just to walk away, though.
That's true. Yeah. So I thought they did a good job. You know, they wrote Roseanne, how Roseanne handled it. She handled it, with humor, and Jackie handled it with class. So my hat's off to them, even though I don't wear hats.
You used to. Remember that time you wore my own hat? Like you took my hat. And
Look, man, I paid you back. I really feel bad. Battery acid. Long story short, battery acid got on his hat. Don't ask me why. It wasn't because of some weird mutants with, mutant fish with like 3 eyeballs. It's not why it happened. It's just an accident. I apologize, but you go ahead and just make me feel bad.
he had stolen this hat from me.
Stolen?
Yeah, you just start.
Stolen?
You just started wearing it and wouldn't give it back.
That's not how it happened.
And then you left it in the back of your car.
Right, I apologize.
And that wasn't enough. You had to start using it as a mat for our car battery. You were like, "This is what this is for." Is that what you think?
I will never live this down.
No, you won't. No.
I really love that hat.
Oh, I did love that hat. And then you bought a hat that looked almost like it, and I asked you one day, "What happened to my hat?"
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, "Oh, it's around here."
I didn't say that.
Somewhere.
Uh-huh.
I can find it for sure.
That's not what
And
happened.
then you try to give me the hat you were wearing and say, "This is the hat that you had." And I'm like, "This looks
I did not.
this looks nothing like that hat."
Oh, that's not what happened at all. I've been learning about distorted memories, and boy, are yours distorted. I can't apologize enough. You need to shut the H up. I will only feel so guilty for so long. I have other emotions, Jay.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
I've only experienced rage.
Wrath was the 7th deadly sin.
Become wrath.
What's in the box?
That's a good movie, but that scene is a little. It is a
What's
little.
in the box?
What's in the box? That ending makes that movie very convoluted. Like,
Yeah?
how did Kevin Spacey know he was going to be the person assigned to his case, for one? 2, how did he get all that information enough to find Brad Pitt's wife? And isn't he in custody when his wife is beheaded? Like, so does that mean he has to hire someone? Like,
Well, think about it this way.
Okay.
He made all of it up. And when he talked about Orca, that was a piece of paper on the wall. And when he said Kobayashi, that was on the bottom of the cup.
what?
I'm just conflating the usual suspects
Yeah.
in 7. Why not? Because it's fun.
The Kobayashi Maru. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He is Kaiser Soze. Spoilers. Whoops.
That movie, however,
It's good.
The Usual Suspects is really good.
I think 7's good.
It is, but that ending really, like, I mean, when I first saw it, I was like, okay, but upon other viewings, I'm kind of like, I'm like, it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. I think it's just iconic, though. That line.
What's in the box? And Brad Pitt, like, losing his mind. What do you think happened to Brad Pitt after he killed Kevin Spacey?
I would assume that he went to jail.
Yeah. Do you think he's out by now?
You mean his fictional character? Do you think his fictional character is out by now?
Yeah.
Well, his
They should make a sequel called 8.
Yeah.
About him rehabilitating society.
Well, the 7 had to deal with the number of deadly sins. So are we adding a deadly sin?
8 will be about his 8-step program. No, he's on a 12-step program and he's stuck on step 8.
Or it could be this, where it's just like, oh, we used to think that there was only 7 deadly sins, but then they invented ShamWow.
What?
It's such a guilty pleasure.
Absorbing fluids with the
Fluids absorbing. Think about it.
I am.
Think harder.
You're gonna have to be a little more specific, Zeke.
No, I'm good. Accordion sex.
Accordion sex.
Mm-hmm.
No, 7. What can I say about 7? It's
What can I say?
or the scene where the guy is it Sloth, the guy that he has like tied to a bed.
Maybe.
That also. How long he was like tied there for like a year and a half, wasn't he?
A long time.
Yeah. How did he keep him alive?
I don't know. How did he keep him alive?
I don't know.
It's a conundrum.
It is a conundrum.
It seems like he would have to have people in places.
So you think there was more than one person operating?
Well, how could he do it all by himself?
Yeah. So maybe 7 is actually the number of people involved.
No, I think it's the 7 deadly sins.
So, well, I mean, you could have 2 meetings. That's the secret behind a good name for a movie is having more than one meaning.
You know, another movie that reminds me, or 7 reminds me of, that is also pretty decent. It had Denzel Washington help me with the title. Denzel Washington, and it turns out he's like the devil or something. And
I don't. Oh, I know you're. Like it's like a demon.
yeah, and it's like he ends up being like Denzel dies, and then he like transfers his soul into a cat or something.
Yeah, and they're always saying that song.
Times on my
Side.
yeah.
Yeah. I think Michael Keaton's the other guy in that movie, isn't it?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe, possibly, but
Okay.
there's multiple people. There's another person that is definitely recognizable. One of those faces where like, oh, I know him, but I don't remember. You know.
We were talking. I was listening to some of our catalog, and we were talking about the guy who plays Booger in
Booger.
Curtis Armstrong.
Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah.
Yeah, we forgot his name at the time, and I was like, "That's his name." Like the minute I was listening to it, I'm like, "It's Curtis Armstrong." Jay."
Armstrong. He's in Supernatural.
Is he?
Well, I think he got killed off last season. Spoilers. If you maybe he didn't. He's alive. Everything's okay. If you're on season like I don't know 10 or something, it's fine.
How many seasons of that show are there?
They're on 12 right now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they're hoping to get to 300 episodes, which would be like another season and a half, maybe 2.5 seasons more.
Okay. Is that your jam? Supernatural?
You know, I haven't seen seasons 1 through 3. What happened is my wife was watching it because she enjoys it, and I would catch an episode here, catch an episode there. And the interesting thing about Supernatural is that there's a series arc, but there's also standalone episodes.
Okay.
So, you know, I was able to slowly be exposed to it. And over time, Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki, as I've talked to you about,
Quite often.
who has amazing abs. You know, they got a good chemistry. They're just two bros. The bromance, you know. So since then, I've been watching.
Okay.
I'll probably at some point have to go back and watch 1 through 3 to see all the episodes because I hear that Jeffrey Dean Morgan played their parents, his dad, their dad.
And who is Jeffrey Dean Morgan?
He plays Negan on Walking Dead. We're derailed completely.
Oh yeah, we're off the rails right now.
Yeah, we should probably wrap up.
I gave up on Walking Dead.
This season 7 is, which we just mentioned Jeffrey Dean Morgan. He plays Negan. That's in this new season. He is an interesting character, but I don't know. The season just I'm about there with you. You probably quit after 2.
I quit. I can't. I think it was season 3, the one where they're looking for the little girl the entire time.
That's season 2.
That's season 2.
Mm-hmm.
I did check out a little bit when they find that town with the governor.
That's season 3.
Yeah. So I watched a little bit, but after that, I'm just like I just lost interest. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Lost. Now that was a good show. Did you ever watch Lost?
I tried to watch a couple episodes after it was already completed, already knowing the ending, and I just didn't have any interest.
Oh, the ending to that show is horrible. The first 2 seasons are really good.
Yeah, I watched like 2 episodes and didn't grip me. Was ungripped.
Yeah. You lost interest.
Let's get this guy a humor award.
Dick.
That was pretty good. I have to give you that. Just let the record show that I find that joke that Jay Warren made humorous. All right, well, thanks so much for listening to episode 10?
Episode 10. This is not counting Christmas episode, yes. Episode 10.
Of Broseanne, the show where two dudes, two bros, get together and talk about Roseanne. My name is Zach Zichter.
I'm Jay Warren.
Until next time, peace.
Peace.